I burst out the most true thing that I could ever say at that moment of, I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore. And I just burst into tears. And I told them, no, you're going to have to disfellowship me. And they were flabbergasted. I felt like I was trapped in a bubble and I was constantly pushing against it, trying to escape. But I buried that as much as I could out of self-preservation. And I did not see any other way that my life could be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. We are back for another episode of ExJW Women Speak Out. Today I'm here with my friend Phey. Me and her actually connected through social media and have been kind of just chatting back and forth, and she decided it was time to share her story. This is actually our second take at this. We did this like a month ago. We had some difficulties with I should say I had some difficulties with my recording side of things. So thank you so much, Phey, for coming back on and re-recording with me today.
Yes.
I'm so excited to help you share your story and have you on. So everybody, welcome, Phey.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, this is so great. So as always, I am going to just kind of take a back seat. I'm going to kind of guide you with some questions, but I want you to just tell me and tell the audience your entire story. So to start off, why don't you give us a little bit of your background? Were you born and raised in the organization? Did you come in later in life? So I'll let you kind of take from there.
I was born and raised into it. On my father's side of the family, we were fourth generation Jehovah's Witnesses. Pretty much the entire side of my father's side of the family were Jehovah's Witnesses. And then on my mother's side, my grandmother, she got into it when she was a teenager and brought her family into it. So I was definitely raised in the fact that that was the only thing I ever knew. And it was definitely interesting of the fact that I had a more conservative congregation. But when I was 4, my parents actually divorced. So I was still in the truth on my father's side, very much so. And on my mother's side, she started to become a little bit more lax after she gave up on going back to the Kingdom Hall. So she eventually started doing things that were a little bit more worldly, but I was still expected to go to the meetings. And I had joined the theocratic ministry when I was 12, started going out in service pretty much as soon as I was 8, I believe, when I started going out in service. My father would have me go out with the pioneers during the week and the summer to use them as babysitters. And my grandmother, she was part of a different congregation. My grandmother's on my mother's side, and I would sometimes go to her congregation as well. So I did get to go to a lot of Kingdom Halls while I was a part of the religion. And yeah.
Okay. I like the fact that your dad used them as babysitters.
Oh, yes. That was very fun.
They can't say no, right? When you're going out in service, they have to take you along with
Exactly.
them. It's kind of genius.
Yeah.
So were your parents divorced? Were they kind of like, was your dad a staple in the congregation at all? Or
Yeah.
were you kind of, okay.
My dad had a lot of privileges in the congregation, and he also had a very good standing due to the fact that my uncles on my father's side, a lot of them became elders. My grandfather was a circuit overseer for a little bit. And I believe there's a rumor that one of my great grandfathers on my father's side was anointed. So my family on my father's side had very good standing.
Do you feel like that being raised with that gave extra pressure on your shoulders as a kid because you had this, like, as they like to call it, this rich history in the
Mhm.
organization. Did it feel like there was more pressure on you because of it?
Very much so. There was a huge expectation that I continue with the I almost said my family's last name. Just going to shh.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of expectation due to the fact that my mother had left and she had also gotten disfellowshipped as well. The elders and the rest of the congregation had a little bit more of a laser focus on me due to the fact that they were wanting to make sure that I did not follow my mom's path. So,
That makes sense. I can see that.
mhm.
They typically, um, if there is like an unbelieving parent or mate or whatever it may be, I feel like the
Yeah,
congregation typically really then like hones in on the children and wants to make sure that they are staying on the straight and narrow and they're not being influenced by their now, you know, disfellowshipped or whatever parent.
yeah.
I feel like they put extra pressure on those kids for sure. So how old were you when you got baptized then?
I was 16,
Okay.
16 or 17. Actually, now that I think about it, I can't quite remember. Um, as I was going through the pre, I got the opportunity to listen to our previous,
Yes.
so second time's the charm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was either 16 or 17. I know I was driving,
Okay.
and that was a very big, disappointing day. It did not feel like it was supposed to. And also, this is something I hadn't mentioned previously. My father and his wife that he remarried to, my second mom, they had missed my baptism because it was being held at the local high school, and I had given him the directions to it, and he proceeded to lose those directions, not ask for directions from anybody else. And I waited until everybody else had gotten baptized, hoping that they would come. And they finally came in right after I had gotten baptized, and everybody was clapping and they were cleaning things up. My grandmother was there though on my mom's side, so that was something. But it definitely was a big addition to feeling like something was wrong and I was feeling a little bit more empty than I was expecting. I did not get filled with any spiritual light or anything like that. But in addition, I was like, the one thing I thought my father was going to be proud of me for, he missed
That's
because he
crazy.
was not proud of anything that I did. And my entire life, or at least didn't show it. And I was like, yay, this is going to be the one thing I can do. No.
That's horrible. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. You would think, yeah, you would think that of all things, especially in the organization, that's like such a huge milestone.
Yeah.
And parents tend to be like so overboard and proud that day usually.
Yeah.
I could see why you felt kind of just like numb and like indifferent almost that day. That would kind of put a damper on it
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah. Okay, so leading up to your baptism, did you okay, so you felt indifferent that day. Were you having, do you feel like any sort of deep rooted doubts at that like early age, or was it just the circumstances surrounding that day?
I had already had not necessarily doubts, but I definitely felt that there was something a bit off with the religion, even when I was younger. I always struggled with the fact that we were going to be the ones that would be saved in Armageddon and resurrected after everything. But my neighbors, my schoolmate, my disfellowship mother, that they would not survive Armageddon and that I would. have to deal with them having the blood guilt on my hands that I couldn't save them, but it just also didn't feel right that I would be the one to be saved, or at least hopefully, since I was going to the meetings and all of that jazz. But they were good people, and I didn't understand why they were going to be saved as well. So there's part of me that always felt like there was something a little bit wrong about it. It also, due to the fact that I always tried to look at the good in people, it always felt wrong when, due to the fact that I was a Jehovah's Witness, I could not help people when they needed help. I was always restricted because they were worldly. I couldn't be around them. I couldn't extend any helping hand or be there for somebody. And that actually turned into a huge moment of doubt for me when my bonus mom, her sister was falling on hard times and she was needing to stay with us. When that happened, we were counseled by the congregation due to the fact that the sister was worldly. And I had overheard that they were going to basically kick her out of the house, even though she was still under a situation where she needed help. And I had gone to the meeting, and my friend was there, who I was very close with. She saw the look on my face. She knew that something was wrong. She brought me into the bathroom, and I burst out the most true thing that I could ever say at that moment of, I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore. And I just burst into tears. And she immediately hustled me into the side room that had the nursing area that um, pretty much, I'm guessing all Kingdom Halls have. And she was trying to shush me and checking under stalls to make sure that I hadn't been heard. It was definitely a moment where I just realized how trapped I felt and how much it just felt wrong. And I was about 15 when that happened, but I got counseled afterwards because apparently somebody did overhear. And uh, I had just decided to, unfortunately, I doubled down with being a Jehovah's Witness, which I should not have, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
you were 15. What were you gonna do?
exactly. I had no choice.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring that up. I feel like, okay, so for anybody watching this who has never been a Jehovah's Witness, I feel like you may not fully comprehend the amount of control that this organization has, in the sense of, if you are not a Jehovah's Witness, they can have nothing to do with you. Like, everything has to be very surface level. So in this case, a fleshly aunt of yours that needed help, in the world, they would see that as being like almost an outreach, helping this person who's in need. You are being a good example as a Christian, and yet Jehovah's Witnesses will refuse to do that because you're not a Jehovah's Witness. And that is a common theme across the board with Jehovah's Witnesses. They will help you as long as you're a Jehovah's Witness. And you being a 15-year-old, seeing kind of through that and being confused by that to the point of you going, I don't want to do this anymore, says a whole lot about, I think, you as a person. Like, to your core, you just are a good person who wants to help someone. And you couldn't make that deciphering of like, well, why can't we help them just because they're not Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah.
It's very sad. It is very sad that that's how they run, but it's very much what they do, as much as they claim otherwise. They like to say that, oh, we help everyone. No, you don't. No one, the Jehovah's Witnesses do not help anyone but themselves.
No.
And it's very unchristian-like, honestly, when you look at it. So
Very
you
true.
were, yeah, you were counseled on that, and
Yeah.
then you doubled down because again, you're 15. What are you going to do? You can't. That's another thing when you're born and raised in it. You feel very trapped.
Hmm.
You can't put your feet down and go like, well, I'm not going to do this, or dig your heels in because you know the repercussions of that. Which,
Yeah.
um, I think most people it's threatening of being kicked out of the home or whatever it may be. So then about a year later is when you were baptized, correct? So that was 15, and then like a year later you were baptized.
Yeah.
Um, wow, that's a lot to process in a year.
It's definitely
uh,
fun.
yeah, I bet. So after your baptism, did you feel any better? Did you start feeling like more gravitation towards the religion, or did it just get worse from there?
It's, I still had doubts, and I still had that feeling that something was wrong. I felt like I was trapped in a bubble and I was constantly pushing against it, trying to escape. But I buried that as much as I could out of self-preservation, and I did not see any other way that my life could be. So I basically continued. I ended up uh, following the elders' advice, and I wanted to go to college. They did not allow me to go to college. The compromise was post-secondary school. I wanted to go into nursing, but I believe that they were worried that I was a bit ambitious and that I may go for a doctorate after that or continue my studies in some way, shape, or form, my education. So the compromise was culinary arts because that would make me a good wife. They had ended up, there is officially, according to the Jehovah's Witnesses, there's no arranged marriage. However, there is coerced marriage. And especially when you don't feel like you have any other option and you are in this close community, it is going to be something that you end up doing due to the fact that what other option do you have? Your
Mm-hmm.
entire social network is within this religion, and you're not allowed to date worldly people. You are not allowed to associate with worldly people outside of anything that is surface level, unless you are preaching, and even then, don't get too personal.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I ended up getting married pretty much when I turned 18, and I that marriage did not last very long. Um, so unfortunately, as a Jehovah's Witness, you don't get to find out who the person is. Everything is chaperoned, and yeah, so that marriage did not last long. We were not compatible. We got divorced. Not even, I don't even think it lasted a year. But I had ended up getting myself into trouble when I was 19. I was put before the judicial committee. And at my judicial committee, they had decided, after praying to Jehovah, that I was truly repentant. Jehovah looked into my heart, and I was truly repentant. And I told them, no, you're going to have to disfellowship me. And they were flabbergasted. They were taken aback. And then the truth came out because they said, your family's standing within the congregation, sister, is we wouldn't want to tarnish that. No, you're going to have to disfellowship me. And I walked out of that Kingdom Hall, and I felt like the bubble finally popped, and it was the most freeing thing ever.
I bet. Um, I want to go back a little bit and talk about the fact that they said that about your family because that's another thing about this organization it's very political. So in your case,
Yes.
they claim like, oh yes, we see you're repentant, where you didn't want anything to do with this. Like, please get me out of here.
Yes.
But it's because you had some family ties that they wanted to keep you in for that reason. Um,
Absolutely.
your judicial committee is very much going to be determined by who your family is, and it's kind of
Hmm.
crazy. So if you have a parent, or all your family is very like higher up and well known, you typically get off a lot easier than those who don't have that, or their parents aren't super
Yeah.
spiritual pillars in the congregation. And it's just crazy to me that that's how it works, because these men are supposed to be there as spokespeople for God, and his Holy Spirit is supposed to be directing them in
Oh,
this, and it's all just
yes.
political and crazy. um,
Absolutely.
so you finally felt relief, and like
Hmm.
you were free, and you were 19 when
Yes.
that happened. Okay. Well, I mean, you had a lot to go through between that, to get to that point. So I'm sure there was a lot
Oh,
of
yes.
trauma and stuff you had to unpack after that. After your disfellowshipping, what did that look like for you? Did family like instantly shun you? Did they try to pull you back in? Like, what did that look like for you?
Um, my grandmother on my father's side, she drove 2 hours to my work. She came in, did not say a word to me. She pulled me in to hug me, pulled like I was going to drop dead that second, pushed me away, and then walked out.
Wow.
Everybody else, on my father's side, they did not reach out to me, and I disconnected from them. I did not want to give them the option to reach out to me, to try and pull me back in, nor did I want to challenge their faith. I did not want to be a stumbling block for them. I knew that I was completely done,
Mhm.
but I did not want to. I basically removed myself as a problem, and I disappeared from my father's side of the family. It's actually a little bit funny. I did not realize that all of them had left the religion until recently.
Oh.
My I had two brothers that were half brothers that were born to my bonus mom, and um, the the first brother, he came when I was 16, and I was not able to stay in contact with them, or sorry, 15. I was not able to stay in contact with them until later when my bonus mom got out. So I had a chunk of their life that I was missing, but I still was there. I changed diapers. I helped them with their first steps. And I was pretty much like mom number two, because my father was not the most, he was not the best parental figure. Um, but then she passed away when they were 13.
Mm.
And then I lost another chunk of their life. Um, but my brother, the older of the two, he fell on some hard times, and he actually ended up relapsing. And I lost him in June of this year, and I was able to reconnect with a lot of my family on my father's side then, and um, every single one of them said, oh, we would love to reconnect with you. And now that we're out, and my father, who I had not spoken to in 20 years, um, when I briefly spoke with him about making arrangements for my brother, um, he said, "Oh, I'm so proud. I got out. Fourth generation Jehovah's Witnesses. Wait, if he was a fourth generation, would that make me a fifth generation? Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
I guess. So
Yeah.
anyhow, the point is that he was so proud, and I just remember thinking to all of them, I'm the one who did it first,
Hmm.
and you guys
Yeah.
are all so proud. But every single one of them have tried to reconnect with me, and it's a little bit hard, because the only memories that I have of them is when I was in the religion, and it's very hard to remove the anxiety and the underlying just tremendous fear that I had all the time underlying of all of those memories, because everything was with we had the family, but it was all within the congregation. So you still had kind of a surface level relationship with all the
Hmm.
family, because you can't be yourself. You have to be afraid of everything you say, because if you have anything controversial, it will get back to the elders. So I was not open with any of them,
Hmm.
about any personal items that could get me in trouble, because I was already talked to enough by the elders. And so I'm still struggling with that. With the recent events, they're still wanting to um, connect, but also I'm not sure if they'll like the person that I am, in general, because I I'm definitely not the same person that they knew.
Yeah.
Um, but luckily, on my mother's side of the family, my grandmother, she was very open and still have a relationship with me, despite the fact that I got disfellowshipped. I think one of the reasons why she was so lenient about it is, um, not only did she have a disfellowshipped daughter, my mother, that she still had a relationship with. Her three sons, they had all ended up eventually leaving. They didn't get baptized. She was the only one that got baptized, my mother. But all of them tended to leave when they were 14, 15-ish. Um, they had a very good conversation with their mother and said, this isn't for me. And because I truly believe that she is the embodiment of what a true Christian is, she looked at who they were as a person and accepted that they were good people. And that is how she judged whether or not she could continue to have a relationship with them, instead of going, "Oh, you are inactive, or you're just disfellowshipped, or forbid, an apostate. No, no, no. Shun, shun." And I'm not saying that any of my family on my mother's side were like, "Oh, Mom, you should look at this article. You see, blah, 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 blah." But instead, they would have open discussions with her about, "Oh, well, I do believe that there's something, but, we respect what you believe." And she would respect what they believed. And it was because they all had approached it with kindness and open mind, which definitely helped.
That's amazing. I don't, that's not very
Yeah.
common to have people like that in the organization. The vast
Yeah.
majority, like you mentioned, she's the embodiment of a true Christian, which is you love everyone. And that is the
Yeah.
problem within that organization. I want to kind of rewind a little bit to you talking about the family that you had in that have now left and having kind of struggles with like connecting with them.
Yeah.
I feel the farther I have gotten away from like my family, obviously there is no door open for that to happen. So it's
They're
like,
still in.
it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of subjective, but I think about the fact that there is no true connection there. Like if
Yeah.
they were to one day go, okay, let's try and have a relationship. It's as strange as that sounds for somebody who's never been a Jehovah's Witness. I don't even think I could have a relationship with my own family, my parents, my
Yeah.
sister, because everything has always been so like surface level because of the way that you are in that organization. And I think that comes
Mhm.
from, like you mentioned, having to kind of hide your true self because you're afraid of being judged or turned into the elders for having thoughts
Yeah.
differing from the watchtower. But I also think it comes from a place of it's so ingrained in you that if somebody leaves, so like in our
Mhm.
case, we disassociated, you
Yeah.
have to cut them off like that. So you almost have these
Yeah.
walls up, even with your own child, your own parent, your own sibling, that it's like, well, I have to keep you at arm's length because at some point I may have to shun you. And it's just so
Absolutely.
strange that those relationships cannot be genuine in that organization. And even I think, like you mentioned, once you're all out together, you're all now no longer a part of it. There's still
Yeah.
some sort of wall there, probably because you just none of you know who you really are, like as a person.
Yeah.
Like you don't know, they don't know you, they don't know who you truly are.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting dynamic. It's strange. It really is kind of when you think about that.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
yeah.
that is something, hearing the stories, other people talking about their stories of getting disfellowshipped and being shunned by their family. That is something that I always get a little bit, I don't want to say confused about. Some of them say that while they understood the concept, they never thought that their family would shun them. They never believed it would happen to them. And that always confused me because I never had that feeling of, oh, I'm going to be the exception. Like I knew if I screwed up that I would be ostracized from my family. And that always confuses me a little bit of,
Yeah.
wow, you must have had a different kind of family. It probably helped in the fact that my father's a very intimidating man. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and he definitely has, I think he's a little bit on the spectrum. He is um, very reserved, and I've never found him to show any affection or genuine emotions. So it was just kind of a no-brainer of, oh, if I get disfellowshipped, of course, he already is tolerating of my existence. So,
Hmm.
it's just going to be another step of um, ostracizing me. So,
Yeah.
um,
No, it's interesting. I think that probably just goes to show, probably like you said, that relationship you had with him where there was something obviously lacking there, maybe with his being more cold,
yeah,
not putting words in your mouth, but
no,
now that
that's
it is
definitely
interesting. Yeah.
that's definitely accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get that because I know, like in our situation, um, I had hope for my dad because he was always a very affectionate, loving father. My mom, I was like, oh yeah, no, it's gonna be done with her forever. She was by the rules, very much like if holding it over your head. If you mess up, you know that I will have nothing to do with you. So I knew in that case the door was closed. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it is interesting. I know there's a lot of I've heard that a lot too of people being like, I thought it would be different in my case.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
it rarely
unfortunately,
is. Yeah.
no, very rarely is it. No, it may be for a time, a short time, and it always falls back to the same thing because they're at meetings every single week being told those people are they're in
You-
Satan's hands now. Like they're
You're
nothing
doing
have
something
nothing to do with
wrong.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're hiding sins. They're terrible people.
Hmm.
It's crazy.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, so you were disfellowshipped at 19. You kind of always
Mhm.
had this off feeling with the organization. Did you have a moment of like major deconstruction that like, oh yeah, that's definitely a high control religion. That's not what they claim it is. Or was it just something that maybe has always sat with you that you're like, I knew this, like it was no shock to you, came as no shock to you, I guess.
Um, because I was always pushing against that bubble, it wasn't necessarily a shock. However, the more that I looked into different things, and expanded my knowledge, the more I was shocked by how much of, and I'm going to use the big C word, cults
Yeah.
the Jehovah's Witnesses are. Now, a lot of people, when they hear that I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, they think of the surface level of, oh, you were, well, before they did Jehovah's Witness light. You
Yeah.
you were the people who knocked on our door on the weekends and um, told us that you need to read this Bible verse and yada yada yada. Um, they don't really realize how mm, how much it fits the bite model.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not to mention the fact that it is genuinely a doomsday cult.
Mm-hmm.
They are not necessarily preparing bunkers or picking out matching Adidas for a comet, but they do have you prepare for Armageddon in other ways simply by not doing things.
Mm-hmm.
What is the point of going to college and getting a high paying job when you are going to uh, be in a paradise, a new system of things? The world is going to end. So why are you focusing on things when that you should be focusing on saving as many people as possible and spreading Jehovah's word and donating your time to the congregation? You need to help take care of the kingdom halls. You need to help build new kingdom halls that are suddenly going to be sold.
Yeah.
And it is a doomsday cult. So the fact that
100%.
they are focusing on everything that is, you know, within the congregation and keeping you isolated
Mm-hmm.
and constantly stating we're in the last days.
Yeah.
And that is terrifying.
Over what it's probably been over a century of them saying they're in the last days and claiming it's coming this year and this year. And yeah, it is a major doomsday cult.
Yeah.
And for those that claim it's not, inevitably there's always Jehovah's Witnesses that like to come on these and
Yeah.
argue that fact. It's like maybe just take a little step back and look at it. It is.
Yeah.
It's a doomsday cult. They're constantly preparing you for what's going to
Yeah.
happen. And for when you're turned on, you're the religion that everyone turns against, and they're going to be
Yes.
imprisoning you. And it's a doomsday cult. They're prepping
The
you. It's just
persecution complex that they
oh,
have is enormous. It
mm-hmm,
is absolutely, and unfortunately, that is one of the tactics that they have to make sure that any opposition that you have coming towards your beliefs, that is somebody that is persecuting your faith in Jehovah. So you cannot listen to these people, and that just reinstills the training that you've
mm-hmm,
had to shut your ears to anything that could potentially be anything against what you have been told by the elders, by the governing body.
mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, there was a watchtower that came out like right after we left, and it literally was like anything negative about this organization is coming from Satan. It's like
Yes.
that's insane because there's a lot of negative that you have brought on yourselves, but okay. But it's the
Yes.
tactic, like you said, just to keep people under their control, and it sets off the alarm bells. This is negative. That's lies and Satan and evil
Yeah,
apostates.
absolutely.
Spreading these lies. Yeah. So you I like that you said, I'm going to say the big C word. Yes. So you figured out it was a cult. Was there like
Yes.
one specific thing, or was it just over time, everything you saw coming out about the organization? I like to,
Um,
everyone has different things that really set that alarm bell off in their head, but I would like to hear what yours was.
when I left, I dove into as much learning as I could. And I initially wanted to learn about other religions, not necessarily because I wanted to join them. I never felt like I needed religion. Spirituality is something else, but religion, um, but I still wanted to understand. I wanted to learn, especially since the entire time we're told to not look into other things. So I started looking at Catholicism, other forms of Christianity, Mormonism, Judaism, Islam, and then went into like paganistic practices. And from that, it got me into mythology and then I just went into like a whole bunch of historical things. And every single thing that I learned um, hopped me into a different subject until I ended up getting into psychology a little bit. Well, I mean, I, I'm not a psychology major or anything like that, but I mean, just going through all of that research of all right, this is the psychological breakdown of what happens when you grow up in a religion, religion that is overly controlling, has a high level of anxiety, um, and just this presence of fear over your head and hyper control. So anything that I learned about jumped into something else that I could expand my knowledge on. So learning about the bite model and learning about other uh, cults that were similar in practice. And now every single time that I see a new cult or any extremist religious practice, I absolutely dive into it. And whether or not it's a cult surrounded around religion or if it's a cult that's surrounded uh, on a business practice, like there are a lot of MLMs that have very cult-like behavior, very controlling, very you have to do certain things. And then there are lifestyle cults that have levels of control. And that is just something that every single time I learn about something new, I'm like, okay, this is definitely reinstilling. Okay, I was in a cult. I'm no longer in that cult. And now I can recognize every single time that I come anywhere close to something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, no, my spider senses are tingling.
Yeah. The cult bells are going off in your head.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think it's interesting that all it takes is some education on things outside of that organization for your mind to be
Mhm.
open up to the reality of what that organization is.
Oh
Which is
yes.
why they always tell them their followers, like, don't research anything else. We have all the research you need here in JW Watchtower Online, and that in itself should be an alarm bell for the people in it, but it's not. So
Yes.
it's crazy. Oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit about how you've kind of built your life up since you were disfellowshipped at 19 and have stayed out. What has your life looked like since leaving, and how you've built your new life for yourself?
I therapy,
Yeah.
which definitely helped. But it basically putting myself in situations where I could push the fear barrier a little bit. Every opportunity that I had to meet new people and experience new things, I myself doing. And that is something that's very important, especially when you grow up in that situation. And even if you're doing something as innocent as going to a study group at school, if it's with worldly people, you immediately have that little pit in your chest, just anxiety of, oh, I'm doing something wrong. And pushing against that and realizing, oh, these people are not doing drugs and drinking and sacrificing a goat to Satan. So it just yeah, it is important to go out and do that. So that's what I did. I expanded as much as I could, and since then I've met so many amazing people, and I have made so many wonderful friends and built my chosen family. I have people that are in my life now that I never would have gotten the opportunity to know them if I hadn't left. And that in itself is the best thing that I can possibly say about it, because they are here for me 10 times over what any person in that congregation was for me. And they would never drop me in a second, like the entire congregation that I grew up in did. The second that they heard the disfellowshipping, I was dead to them.
Yep.
But these people that I have now in my life, they will be here for me through thick and thin. And the only people that I have in my life that consistently from the religion are still in my life are my grandmother and my two friends that I actually grew up with in the religion. And luckily they got out as well. And so we've all been friends since our early teens.
Love
And
that.
they're actually coming here this to visit me here in Colorado in a week. And
That's
it's
so
going to
fun.
be very fun because this is the first time we'll have been together since I think over 20 years. So we're
Oh.
basically going to have a recreated sleepover. I even, as a joke, um, I was like, all right, does everybody have their watchtowers? We're going to have to prepare. The Kingdom Hall's right up the road. But yeah, I really, uh, I dove into life, and
I love
that's
that.
basically what it's all about.
Yeah.
And I didn't let fear or judgment of what I wasn't supposed to do, hanging out with worldly people, stop me from doing what I felt was the right thing to do. Because there were so many things that I wanted to do and help other people, but I wasn't able to. When I got out, I was able to volunteer for a hospice area. I was able to volunteer at Habitat for Humanity. I was able to be a foster for kittens. And I never would have been able to do any of that if I was still a Jehovah's Witness, which
Yep.
it's just absolutely heartbreaking how many opportunities you miss
Yep.
because you're stuck in that religion.
Yep. No, it's true. I love that you really pushed yourself out of that comfort zone, because we do, when you walk away from that religion, whether you were 19 or 50 when you leave, you're, I feel like our brains were wired in such a different way where, like you said, it's like everything's kind of intimidating, and making
Yeah.
friendships can be hard because you're like, well, it's getting past that barrier of these are worldly people. They're hiding some terrible thing they're doing in their lives. And it's like, no, you almost just have to like shut that entire side of your brain off and just push yourself out of your comfort zone, because there are so many
Absolutely.
amazing people out there. There are so many good people who want nothing but the best for you. And when you create those bonds, like you mentioned, these are people who will be with you through thick and thin. This is nothing conditional. Everything is very unconditional when you meet the right people out there.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that you just kind of pushed yourself and you found your community and found your chosen
Yeah.
family. I think it's a beautiful thing. Um,
Yeah.
so now I'm going to ask you a couple kind of last questions. The first one being, if you have any advice for people who maybe are in the beginning process of leaving, or are maybe kind of in that PMO state, they're stuck in there, they're not sure how to get out. Do you have any advice for those people, or things they can do to help themselves break free and really start their lives over?
I know it's going to be scared or scary. I know it's terrifying. I know that the entire social network that you have is built up around this religion, but it's not worth it. It's not worth holding on to. There was a fantastic thing that I came across many years ago. It's actually about abusive relationships, but this applies. And the question was, if you could wake up tomorrow in all of the awkwardness of leaving that situation, whether it be an abusive relationship or a cult, and you wake up tomorrow, you don't have to do any of the awkward interactions with people. You don't have to worry about any of those giving things back or getting into a safe place. You're already there. You wake up. Would you go back? And if the answer is no, then you know you're making the right decision. It is no way to live to have that level of anxiety. Uh, One of my favorite YouTubers that cover religions, heliocentric, when he was talking about his 3-day convention video, at the very end, he talks about the absolute fear and the anxiety of being afraid of your friends, your family, even your own thoughts. That is not a way to live. And there's so many good things on the other side of that. Don't be afraid. You have so many of us on the other side that you can reach out to. And I give Alissa permission to put anyone in contact with me.
Mhm.
It is going to be okay. You're not
Yep.
alone.
Yep. It's a scary step to take. Absolutely. But the outcome is always going to be for the better.
Yeah.
Whereas if you stay in there, the outcome is never going to be for the better. It's going to just continue to get worse. So I love
Yeah.
that. I love you bringing up heliocentric. That video was like, uh, I remember watching that and it was like a punch to the gut, knowing that feeling of
Yes.
like, that poor, whoever the person was that, spoke to him, and the fear that that person probably went through in that moment, like, oh, I shouldn't have said I know
Yeah.
you or know of your content.
Yeah.
And then it's not a way to live. It is not a way to
No,
live
it's
in any
not.
way, shape, or form. Being terrified that at any second, your entire support system, your entire life could be pulled out from underneath you
Absolutely.
because you don't agree with an
Yes.
organization run by men. It's insane. But
Yes.
I think that's great advice to give people. I think it's wonderful. And yes, if anybody wants to be in touch with Phey, reach out to me. I'll get you guys in touch. So we'll kind of finish up with my other question was, what made you decide to kind of speak out and come on here and tell your story and share it with everyone?
Um, for the longest time, I was terrified to speak out publicly, and because I was afraid that the elders would come after me, even though a lot of them are probably dead. Um, my family was also afraid of them finding me, but recent events, particularly my brother's passing, it just kind of hit me that I'm a grown adult. They can't do anything to hurt me. And even if they tried, bring it. I'm not a little kid anymore. You cannot hurt me. And I want other people to know that it's worth it. I know that it's terrifying. And hey, even if you are in a situation where you are underage and you're afraid of being kicked out because of this, it's there are resources for you, and it's not worth being a part of that at all. So I basically I wanted to share my story and let people know that hey, it's going to be okay, and that it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think obviously I'm building my platform around this because I think the more voices out there, the better. The more
Yes.
stories that people share, the better, because every single story that is shared, somebody is going to see your story and go, oh my gosh, that's my story. Or that was
Yeah.
me, or that is me currently. And it gives them either hope that one day they're going to be okay if they're in the midst of the chaos that is deconstructing and leaving, or maybe it
Yes.
was somebody who left 40 years ago and they can go, oh my gosh, I felt alone still in some way all these years. And now I don't have to feel that way. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on here to speak out. It truly means the world
Yeah.
to me that you were willing to do that. I have no doubt your story will help others. And I guess we can kind of finish off. I forgot to tell this ahead of time, but I think you had a toast ready last time. So are you ready for a toast this time? Okay, good. You came prepared.
I always come prepared, or at least I try to.
I love it. Okay, so
So,
I'll let you give your toast to finish us off today.
okay, I'm going to quote two people. First I'm going to quote, just to a final closing thought, quoting
Okay.
heliocentric.
I love it.
Every chance you get to give a witness a water bottle or be there for them if they're struggling or whatever it is, kindness like that goes a long way. And I got his permission that I could quote him. So I think that's very important because there are so many Jehovah's Witnesses that feel so persecuted. You're not being persecuted. It's yeah, but all right, my toast.
Okay.
This was a poem that I discovered in my late mother's books. Life is too short to wake up in the morning with regrets. So love the people that treat you right, forget about the ones who don't, and believe that everything happens for a reason.
Cheers to that. I love it. I think it's beautiful. That's amazing. Well, again, Phey, thank you so much for coming on, not only once, but twice now. This has been a process to get this recorded, but I'm so happy that you've done it. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. It's
Absolutely.
been a pleasure hearing your story. And again, I have no doubt that your story will help so many people. So thank you for having the courage to speak up and be here today and share your story with everyone.
And thank
Um,
you for having all of this entire community for people. The fact that you have done this is truly remarkable because there are so many women who and men and women who are needing support. So thank you for starting this.
oh, well, thank you for saying that. I am doing my best to do something good with my life. You know, I feel like we were raised in such a place that we thought we were doing good by knocking on
Yeah,
doors, and we did literally nothing good for anyone. So now's my chance to make up for that. And that's my goal in
completely
life
agree.
always. Well, again, I will say thank you. And for everybody who sat here today, and gave Phey a safe space to tell her story.
Yeah.
Make sure you give her some love in the comments and tell her thank you for being here and being brave enough to do this. And as always, if you have a story yourself you would like to share, you can reach out to me. I will have my contact information and the Google form down below in the description of this video. Again, my goal, especially this year going forward, is to share as many stories as I possibly can, because I know there are hundreds of women out there who have similar stories, but also so different. We all have a lot of the similar backgrounds, but different things have happened to us, and everybody's voice deserves to be listened. So thank you guys
Yeah.
for being here. Thank you guys for always giving a great space that is supportive and just an all-around loving community. I'm so happy that I have been able to do this, and I'm so happy I've been able to meet all these amazing women. So thank you guys, and I will see you guys next time.